Welcome to a weekly episode of Talk. We're your host, Eddie Marmolejo.
And Jaime Moreno.
Well, the situation at the border keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But why can't Democrats admit to it? It's pretty simple. We'll see what they've been saying over the last couple of hours, I should say. Cancel culture just keeps striking and striking and striking again. Now we have added a couple more figures to the list. Dumbo, Peter Pan, the Aristocats, Swiss Family Robinson, Pepe Le Pew, and since Jaime said Latinos were left out, what's the name of that rat, Jaime? Speedy Gonzalez.
All rest in peace.
Speedy Gonzalez was also targeted. As Jaime said, he was being left out.
All rest in peace.
Well, this and more, but before we begin, we always invite you to follow us here in Talk. Yes. You can do so by going to the links in our bios and our social media pages by simply searching Talk Media and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Also follow us on our Anchor pages and Spotify. All right, Jaime, let's get to it. So, as you know, the administration during the campaign and even so with its first couple of weeks said it was going to do dramatic changes to the Trump policy. Stuff we have talked over and over and over again, right? We said it was a bad idea. You're going to incentivize people to come to the border. You're going to start creating a crisis. And here we are 8 weeks, almost 7 weeks into the 7 weeks. January 20th? No.
20th? 2 months.
No, it's like 2 months. No, it's like 10 weeks. Yeah, like 10 weeks into it's like I want to say 10 weeks into the new administration.
Yeah, I guess so.
The man has had 117,000 people at the border. Right? He has deported over 28,000. Now he has unaccompanied.
Wait. Let's clarify, Eddie. It's not his fault that he deported 28,000 people. It's the court's fault. So the whole debate about the 28,000 people who were deported under Biden administration within the first 100 days. Now, remember, Joe Biden said within the first 100 days, we will stop deportations. Well, we all heard that the Circuit Court of Texas appealed that decision. It says you cannot hold or stop deportation orders, right, based on the law.
Right.
But never did the court say, go ahead and deport people. He just says you can't stop them. So the court says you can't stop them. The Biden administration could literally not do their job and just not deport anyone. But they went ahead and still did the job they promised not to do. So a bunch of liberals and progressives are saying that the reason Joe Biden deported 26,000 people is because the court said you can't stop deportations. But the court did not order the Biden administration to deport people. So there's a whole difference, right? So one thing is for the court to say, you can't stop deportations, and that's it. And it's another thing for the Biden administration to actually deport people, right? So even if the Biden administration doesn't deport anyone, they're not violating the law. They're just not doing their process or their job, as you would say. Right? So the court didn't say, Joe Biden, deport these people. He didn't say that. And the Biden administration still went ahead and deported people, right? They could have easily not deport anyone. They had the power not to deport anyone. They had the decision not to deport anyone if they didn't want to enforce the law. Right? So the progressives were talking about like, oh no, the court ordered him to do it. It's the court's fault. It's not Biden's fault. Yes, it's Biden's responsibility. He controls ICE. He is the director of ICE. He is the director of Homeland Security. And if anything they do is under his responsibility. So we got to clear that up, Eddie. Remember that.
Well, like I said, Biden deported 28,000 people. He has captured kids, put them back in the cages. Y'all know the spiel by now, right? Here's the problem, though.
They're not cages, they're detention centers.
Here's my thing.
They're facilities.
Here's my thing. circle backing artist, Press Secretary Jen Psaki, was asked directly, "Do we have a crisis at the border?" Let's listen to
To
what
what
she
she has
had
to say.
to say.
Question on with the influx of young people and just migrants in general to the southern border. Is there any sense, and I asked this question with the obviously you're only 2 months into the administration, but early on you and Secretary Mayorkas very much stressed humanity and trying to move away from the last administration. Does the message need to be tweaked at all? Do you need to say that it's not just about humanity, that also you might not get in, or you probably aren't going to be able to stay?
Well, humanity will always be a value from the president on down. But you are right that we are continuing to work to convey to people in the region that this is not the time to come, that the majority of people who come to the border will be turned away, which is factually accurate. And what we're really talking about in terms of the people who are being let in are unaccompanied children. That is a policy decision which we made because we felt it was the most humane approach to addressing what are very difficult circumstances in the region. And that means there are more children, kids under the age of 18, of course, coming across the border.
At this point, is this a crisis at the border?
Look, I don't think we need to sit here and put new labels on what we have already conveyed is challenging. What we have conveyed is a top priority for the president, what our policy teams are working on every single day. There was a trip to the border this weekend. They are working over the course of every day since then on putting in place policies that can help address what we're seeing and help ensure that we are keeping these kids safe and moving them as quickly as possible from Border Patrol facilities to shelters where they can have access to educational resources, health resources, mental health resources, legal aid, etc.
Okay,
I'm laughing.
wait, hold on. She said that people were gonna be stopped from coming in. So why is there a lot of people coming? Let's hear from one of those people in the caravan real quick. Why is he coming then? If Jen Psaki right here is saying they're gonna be turned away, well, why are you coming then? Why?
What do you want for your people? I'll be honest, I'm here today because in my country, with the hurricane that we had, it's kind of terrible, and we got a president that he's not helping the population, and a bad situation. I'm coming from way far away from Roatan, and
Where is your family?
my family, I left them home. I know they kind of worried because I don't have no internet, so that they can check me and see how I'm doing. And I'm here today because I'm dreaming to get to the U.S.
What is happening now with the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic, it's messed us up a lot. I used to work tour guide, tourism, and we on the island, we're not receiving no tourism because
You are from
the cruise ship.
Roatan.
I'm from Roatan, born and raised islander, and that's where I will live.
What do you want for your people?
What I want for my people, I just want patience and pace that we can get to the U.S. because they're having a new president, where's Biden. He's gonna help all of us. He's given us 100 days to get to the U.S. and give us legal mental paper so we can get a better life for our kids and family.
So Joe Biden, according to this migrant, gave them 100 days to reach the U.S. border.
In order to get papers.
Jen Psaki just said they're going to be turned away.
Mm-hmm.
We have Democrats stating in the last 2 weeks, we got to take care of the problems internally first and have border security. In fact, President Biden, we need more border security. Representative Vicente Gonzalez, whose district is at the border, said we need more border security. Democrat, our own senator here from California, Senator Padilla, we have to fix immigration reform first for those DACA recipients, those that are taking part in the economy. We can't take care of those at the border. Jen Psaki, border is closed. We're not gonna let you in. If you come in, turn around. You know how many people were talking about him? I don't know. Let's circle back to Jen Psaki real quick. Pretty sure she can give us the figures.
Go ahead.
Follow up on that, Jen. Thanks. There are reports out there that the number of unaccompanied migrants detained at the border has tripled in the last 2 weeks to 3,200 plus. Is that number accurate?
I'm not going to confirm numbers from here. Obviously, the Department of Homeland Security and others oversee the programs and the engagements that happen at the border. I will say that there are a couple of reasons. I know Amr asked about our kind of change in policy, but there are a couple of reasons why we think people are coming to the border. Of course,
wouldn't that be because Joe Biden said he was going to allow him in his first 100 days? All right, let's go on. Let's go on.
That could be a reason. That could be a reason.
Individuals are fleeing countries where individuals and families are, they're fleeing prosecution, fleeing violence, fleeing economic hardships and other things. The region has also experienced 2 hurricanes in the fall, putting further stress on the conditions in these countries and the circumstances that are facing individuals. And all of this is taking place during a global pandemic that has impacted other countries' economies, placing undue hardships on its people, just as it did in the United States. So there are also a range of factors that are leading individuals to come to the border.
Why won't you confirm that number? That's a very important.
Yeah, it's a pretty big number. Saki, just give us the dang number. Confirm it.
We've been very clear that there is an increase, that there are more children coming across the border than we have facilities for at this point in time. Those numbers are tracked by the Department of Homeland Security. So I'm the Department of Homeland Security. So I'm just suggesting that you talk to them about specifics.
Them, Jen, they won't confirm the numbers.
Well,
Why does she keep referring them back to the Department of Homeland Security? Jaime, who does the Department of Homeland Security report to?
The President of the United States.
So you mean to tell me that the President of the United States does not know the figures and he can't give those figures to his White House press secretary to confirm to the media that, yeah, we have an increase at the border?
I guess she doesn't want to be misquoted, right?
Misquoted, it's a figure.
Well, she doesn't want to get involved in that problem. She doesn't want to give, because they're not going to have a press conference with the Homeland Security Secretary.
Jaime, are you trying to say that the U.S. Press Secretary doesn't want to admit that there is a crisis at the border?
No, that's not the terminology the administration is using. They're using it's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, not a crisis. Remember that.
You have 3,200 unaccompanied children. And you can't. All right, hold on. Let's finish this real quick.
I know the facts, Eddie. That's not the point. The important thing is how the press secretary and the press is eating up the deception, right?
Hold on. Let's finish this real quick.
To them and ask them again. We're not going to confirm them from the White House. It's not our program. It's the Department of Homeland Security.
Is the White House encouraging the department to release those numbers?
I mean, it's not your program. It's a Department of Homeland Security as a directive from the White House. What are you talking about? What is this lady talking about? The Department of Homeland Security does not act without orders of the White House, especially when it comes to immigration policy, which Joe Biden said he was going to enact within the first 100 days.
Well,
let's go on. Hold on. Let's finish this.
In the spirit of transparency that the secretary promised here at this podium.
We certainly encourage transparency, but what I also think is important is to talk about what the root causes are here and what we're doing from a policy standpoint to try to address the challenges that we're facing and that these kids are facing as they come across the border.
And on COVID,
are those root causes involving the fact that Joe Biden said he was going to increase the number of refugees into the United States to 125,000, and then you tell them that now they're going to have to wait across the border because you're going to have to shut it down to COVID? Oh, that's okay. So this lady, Jen Psaki, real quick, won't confirm numbers from Department of Homeland Security. Like I said, the Department of Homeland Security, like Jaime pointed out, reports to the White House, reports to Joe Biden. Okay, he says, like, sir, we don't have the. We have a situation at the border. We have a challenge going on. Okay. But what struck me even further, a little bit more beyond the stupidity from that answer, is the way that first reporter was trying to mold the narrative. I don't know if you caught that, Jaime. Well, how should we talk about it then? What kind of language should we use when it comes to this situation at the border? Because we have this number of unaccompanied children, we have this number of migrants, but how should we talk about it? Right? Is this the humane thing to do? Or like how should we do it? And I'm like, why are we making the narrative so easy for Joe Biden? You have the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Washington Examiner, NPR, El País, all these sources pointing. Telemundo did an investigative reporting at what's going on at the border. It's a crisis. It's a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this reporter talking about? Well, I mean, how should we approach it? How should we do it? And it's a humane thing to do. Like, why?
Yeah, like you said, the narrative is going from crisis to a challenge, right? And she reiterates, no, let's not use terminology. Let's not use different terminology that's already been accepted. And the accepted terminology for what's going on the border is challenge, right? Why? Because they want to make it look like they're doing a better job than Trump administration, right? They want to make it look like they're doing a better job than Obama did, right? When he was president. The crisis of the border has been existed since Obama's era, right? And the crisis is going to keep going and keep happening. It's funny how they want to portray. It's funny how in the campaign trail, Joe Biden is talking about all these pro-immigration. We're going to step away from separating families. We're going to get rid of the detention centers. We're going to allow anybody to apply for asylum and give them the opportunity. Now that he's the president, he's backtracking on a lot of stuff he promised. And so for the people to not catch on to what's going on, right? To not be suspicious, and for the media to accurately quote the administration, they use words like challenges instead of crisis. They use words like detention facilities instead of cages. They use process, families instead of separating families. They're talking about, returning them. Now is not the good time to come to the United States instead of, that policy is xenophobic. So it's funny how they're turning the narrative in front of our faces, right? And a lot of us are like eating it up, like, oh my gosh, it's so inspiration. I mean, Univision and Telemundo and even the Univision radio stations are talking about it like, oh my God,
they're actually doing some work.
Detention. Yeah, they're talking about like, they're separating families and putting them in detention, but it's better off than when it was with Trump. In the words of Pablo Escobar, a prison is a prison no matter how you paint it. Okay? No matter how much gold you have in there, a prison is a prison. Okay, so there's no difference. There's only difference in terminology, and that's the hilarious part that we see here in talk is that they're doing the same exact thing that Trump administration and Obama dealt with. No,
yeah, but regardless of what we know as the facts on the ground, right? It just bothers me to hear the press secretary being asked for figures that she should be able to get. I mean,
she knows the figures.
She knows the figures. For me, it's that like I said, I'm a national security guy, right? So when I see the tiers of cabinet members and the tiers of intelligence agencies and the tiers of who reports to who, when I first heard this interview, I was like, today that the courts have the CDC secretary for 100% capacity. Biden, it's gonna get worse. Right? Like, how do you not have these numbers? How do you not have these numbers?
Not even so much who they report to. The press secretary's job is to communicate. Why
does she keep referring them back to the Department of Homeland Security? I mean, who does the Department of Homeland Security report to?
They are the ones in the United States who communicate. So
you mean to tell me that the president of the United States does not know the figures and he can't give those figures to his White House press secretary to confirm to the media that we have an increase
right
at the border?
To get information, they go to the press secretary. Right?
His job figure.
All those questions, right? That problem. She doesn't want to. By her saying, "Well, you have to talk to DHS about it." She's deviating from the answer.
I mean, are you trying to say that the U.S. press secretary doesn't want to admit that there's a crisis at the border?
She is setting up the terminology. What's it called? The smoke screen. They're using it's a challenge. By saying, just
it's a challenge.
You have to figure out what crisis. Remember she knows numbers. She knows what's up. She doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't want the media.
Let's finish this real quick.
I know the fact that to quote her and then put it on paper that the Biden administration is doing the exact same up the thing. Right?
Hold on. Let's finish. Yeah, but not only that, and it just it also upsets me because we had a lot of Latinos pull the Biden lever because of this particular topic. Even though, right, COVID-19 was probably the topic that got him really elected, but COVID-19 and healthcare was one of the top issues for Latinos. And now we're hearing Latinos, right, and kids, and primarily who are infected with COVID-19 and being released and sent into the country, or coming into the country and being put in with non-infected kids in these detention centers, right? So many things that are going on with COVID just in general. And I'm like, what happened to caring for people of color? Let's just go there. What happened to caring for people of color? And it's funny because we were reading Telemundo's article on what's going on in Brownville, Texas, and how they're talking about, yeah, we got tested for COVID. We tested positive. But we got our masks on, and we're going to get on a bus, and we're going to go visit our relatives. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
So the people in Brownsville, for those who don't know, were people who were detained by immigration police and released into the country. So
just that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
So all these things, right? And I'm reading like, wait a minute. So now you're not going to allow refugees in who are now going to be subject to kidnappings and all these things in the Mexico side. You're separating families. You have kids, large number of unaccompanied children. You don't have enough beds. You don't have enough spaces. Catch and release. Even if they're COVID infected, they're being released. I'm like, well, and how is this not a crisis then? Oh, and I forgot there's a caravan on the way.
Oh, yes.
I forgot that part. I forgot about that. So all these things are going to add up, Jaime, and it's going to get worse, man. It's just, I don't understand how Latinos, right, who voted for this guy can still claim to support him after. I mean, just on this alone, I mean, I don't get it. It's upsetting to me because you're making us look like morons, right, for voting for you, right? Well, not involved for him, just saying
in general,
yeah. And then you say, yeah, we're gonna do these things so the Latino community is gonna make the Latino community better, but you haven't done anything, and you're making the matters worse. And you have Democrats calling you out, and Latino Democrats calling you out. And the best thing your press secretary can say is, you got to go talk to DHS. Okay, I'm leaving it there.
It's a typical politician 101. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Typical politician. I'm going to promise this, promise that, promise this. Once they go in office, they do the opposite. They don't. Yeah. They don't. I'm thinking the word in Spanish, cumplir lo que dicen. They don't
do what they
follow through. Follow
through with what their promises are.
Yeah, follow through with their promise, right? And it's all just talk. And as Latinos voted for Biden because he's going to bring immigration reform, and which he still hasn't done, and all this stuff, it's just like Eddie says, you guys we're just making us look bad.
Yes. Right?
The man who was vice president under the administration of the deporter in chief is really gonna not deport people? That's suspicious. But anyways, the thing about this whole crisis, the thing is, it's a crisis at the border, and it is in a crisis at the border. And I want to see Time Magazine put pictures of a crying child being separated from her mom. I want to see AOC crying outside the facility of these new and improved detention centers. I want to see every Democratic leader and every congressional leader protesting and screaming about the kids, about the cages, and so on and so forth under this administration, because nothing has changed other than...
Not even worse. It went down under Trump, but just in 8 weeks, it's skyrocketed. And it's under...
Exactly. Go ahead.
So,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
No, we can do this all day. We're going to have all day. I'm just saying Latinos should start thinking about other reasons to vote, to see if you can find other reasons why to vote Democrat if the sole reason was immigration, because they failed you.
Not only that. Go ahead. Sorry.
So in 8 weeks, they showed you that they can't handle the situation.
Not only that, I mean, they made so much unbelievable promises.
Yeah.
That now that they're in power and control, they realize it's more complicated than what they thought.
That's my main argument. Not the reality.
Yeah. So instead of voting for a Democrat who says, "Oh, we're going to do immigration reform," what do you mean by immigration reform? What do you do with these issues we just dealt with Trump, right? And
again, I don't want to get into it because we can go on and on and on. All right, there's Biden. He stinks at border security. Let's move on. Now,
No, he's doing the exact same thing Trump is doing. That's all I gotta say. That's the end of it. That's the end
all
of it.
right, all right. So this week, and we haven't talked about it enough already, cancel culture.
Oh God.
I'm getting sick and tired of this topic. But it seems like every day something is added new to the list. Last week we had Dr. Seuss, and we had Mr. Potato Head. Now we have the Aristocats, Dumbo, Peter Pan, Swiss Family Robinson, Pepe Le Pew, and what's his face? Speedy Gonzalez. So according to Disney, when you clearly go look at their advisory section on Disney Plus to why they put these advisory warnings. If you look under the Aristocats, it's because the cartoons depict Asians essentially because the cats have like stretched out eyes.
The Siamese cats.
Yeah, Siamese cats, and they're playing piano with chopsticks. You know, and they sing in I guess they sing a song that mocks the Chinese language and culture. Okay, Dumbo, because you know the crows. Right, they had the crows and they sing a song, and the leader of the crows' name is Jim Crow. I'm like, not a good choice there, Disney, but there it is, right?
Wasn't Disney? I think Dumbo was like the second motion picture movie they made, right?
I don't follow Disney that well as far as the animated films.
Right.
Peter Pan, because Peter Pan and the Lost Boys are dancing in Indian outfits and dancing to Indian music, and according to Disney, that makes a mockery of native people's culture and imagery. And Swiss Family Robinson, because it wrongfully depicts Asians because they have man buns and they have pirate uniforms with like exaggerated jewelry. So that also gotta go. Well, it's not gone. It's just every time you select one of these films, you're gonna have an advisory warning. Now, here's my question: when do cartoons ever depict things correctly? I mean, let's look at another couple.
Good point.
Let's look at other films. Aladdin. Okay, Aladdin.
Aladdin?
Aladdin. I mean, the stereotype of the belly dancers and all these things and the flying carpets and all that stuff. I mean,
I was thinking about the master servant relationship.
Oh, you can. I mean, that too. I guess you can do that too. And if you're a feminist, the subservient of the feminist of the female character, right? Because she feels trapped because all this manpower going around her. So, I mean, that could be argued.
Oh, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
She can't rule unless
she can't rule because she needs a man. Okay, so let's talk about that. I mean, the Lion King. I mean, do animals really talk and they have a kingdom and a structural government where the lions rule and all that stuff? I mean,
wow, leave Lion King alone.
I'm just saying. The lions. I mean, do animals in Africa follow a social norm like a political system where the lions go and then they have speeches and they baptize their kids and early in the morning? I mean, my point is this: when have her cartoons ever depict a society actually? Right? You can call it stereotype, you can call it whatever it is, but that's a cartoon's depiction. You're not supposed to take cartoons seriously. You're not supposed to take the content seriously. Okay. And here's my thing, because if you're gonna go that far, why haven't you canceled South Park?
Exactly.
You want to talk about stereotypes? South Park. South Park has done every single stereotype known to man. And I know they fired Chef. But they fired Chef because they thought he was being a pedophile. But other shows in that series have done worse things than these movies all combined. And I'm not going to go into them, but South Park. Okay.
South Park, yeah. South Park is crazy. Yeah.
No
shame.
If cancel culture wants to take away stereotypes from the children, what about Grand Theft Auto? I was telling this about Jaime. It's like, dude, how come they haven't gone after Grand Theft Auto yet? Do you know how many stereotypes are in this video game alone? right? And there was this hilarious comment, right? And this is after I thought about it. Jaime showed me this comment, and I gotta say it to you guys because this thing is like worth. This thing is worth saying. Hold on, let me see. So, the article that was posted that was shared was about Pep, right? And he was canceled. And then one of the parents said, "Well, I'm glad he's canceled, and my children are safe. Now my son can get back to playing Grand Theft Auto, where he just set a hooker on fire, so he didn't have to pay her." I mean, look, you want the stereotypes? Grand Theft Auto 3, Italians, okay? Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Oh, wait, hold on. Italians and Japanese and cartels. So Grand Theft Auto got all three. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, black people, right? And they're all hoodlums. They're all gangsters. They're playing their rap music, right? And then they got the hood. They got the gangs all together. But let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that, right? Let's just talk about cartoons and books. But video games, right? Video games, movies, music that has stereotypes in it, no, that can stay. So what's the point?
Exactly.
Why is it only these things are being targeted, right, for the sake of children, right, the children's mind? But like that parent said, now he just burned a hooker and set her on fire and got his money back.
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, man, I'm telling you, that game has stereotype from like no other.
Oh yeah, big time stereotype. And no, not only that, you're so right, Eddie. I mean, they're picking and choosing things that we're so used to as a society to recognize, right? Their cultural icons, cultural images. I mean, who doesn't recognize Bugs Bunny? Who doesn't recognize Mickey Mouse? Who doesn't recognize,
Oh, who's that hunter's name? Speaking of Bugs Bunny, why hasn't he been canceled yet? The bald hunter was going after Bugs Bunny. What's his name?
Oh, Edmund Fudd or
Edmund Fudd, yeah. I'm gonna get you, Wabbit. I'm gonna get you. What is that? Animal cruelty? Is that what we're waiting for?
Gun violence.
Gun violence. There you go. Gun violence. Yes.
Gun violence. Yeah, I mean, okay. If people find it offensive, that's what I like about liberty, right? And the ability to have options. If you feel uncomfortable watching Pepe Le Pew, don't watch Pepe Le Pew. Yeah. Don't show your kids Pepe Le Pew. If you don't like Mr. Potato Head, don't consume Mr. Potato Head. Don't buy Mr. Potato Head. I mean, if you don't like the movie Swiss Robinson Family because of the stereotypes in it, don't watch the Swiss Robinson Family. And that's the thing. See, what I'm realizing is that people acknowledge and demand the right to various options in terms of services, stores, product, different colors, different sizes. I mean, Apple, for example, has an iPhone, came out with like 4 different models of iPhone, and like each different model has like different colors and different sizes. You have options, right? You don't like the pink one? Don't buy the pink one, buy a blue one if you like the blue one, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with these cartoons. I mean, the Aristocats. I like the Aristocats. They had a stereotypical thing. You know what? It happened. It's there. I have the option whether to watch the movie or not. Why am I gonna put upon my beliefs and so everyone else in under the guise of protection and equality? That's dumb. And I think as Americans are losing that knowledge that we have the choice to have the choice,
the option, the liberty of choice,
and the option to watch whatever the hell we want. If
the pro-choice crowd,
we don't think it's offensive. If they think it's offensive, then they think it's offensive. As long as I'm not being racist or I'm not being discriminatory against anybody else, who gives a damn?
And it's funny because we had this conversation over and over again with like rap music in the 90s and 2000s, right? Where it was like, oh, it's promoting violence. Then these violent video games were coming out. I was like, oh, it's promoting violence and the stereotypes and all that. But parents then understood, well, you have a choice. Just if you think it's too extreme for your kid, take it off. It's funny how the pro-choice people cannot exercise the choice. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if you don't want to subject, like, my parents could have easily said, "Hey, you can't be watching those films. You're too young for that. You have to learn, other things before you watch those films." But my first movie that I remember watching was RoboCop, and you ever seen how gruesome that film is, right? Guys get blasted and all that, but it was bloody. But it's just what it is. Like, you're allowed to watch it, you're not allowed to watch it. They told me you can't watch these type of films. You can't watch these type of films because I had to develop myself in order to do stuff like that. But to force kids, right? To force kids to say you can't experience that because of a stereotype and all that. I don't think it should be like, no, look, I just don't want you to watch this film, and we're gonna watch something else, and that's fine for me. You have the choice to do it.
Yeah.
But we're talking about canceling everything for the sake of just not offending somebody. And it's like, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I mean, if you can tolerate Grand Theft Auto 5 or any of the Grand Theft Autos, but you can't tolerate Dr. Seuss, there's something wrong with you as a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because burning a hooker to get your money back, but walking down Marlborough Street is not okay. You have a problem. Me putting a C4 bomb on a car and blowing up cops, right? Because they're coming after me, it's okay. But I took care of a zoo. I forgot the name of the title of that one. It's not okay.
Am I to own a zoo by Dr. Seuss? Yes, it's true. It's true. I mean, and I think the more, in my opinion, the more mature thing to address these things is by talking about it. And I mean, as a kid, they might not realize it, right? So, a kid who doesn't get the racial stereotypes, that's fine. I mean, they don't understand it. But it gets to a point where they're old enough and smart enough to understand those things. And us as parents, I say us, I don't have kids, but parents should be able to say, you know what, mija, mijo, or son, daughter, whatever, or binary, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? Non-neutral, he, she, whatever you want to call your kids. This is what people thought about this racist back in the day. This was made in that context. Right. We don't believe about that anymore. We don't think that's true. We don't think that represents people. It happened, unfortunately, and it is what it is. It's the context of that history, right? We have moved on from that. That would be the more mature, more progressive thing to do instead of just canceling all that things just because it seems offensive to you, right? It's like, what? Like, we understand it's offensive to you. Okay, we apologize and move on. Is what it is. So we're gonna I think we're gonna talk about cancel culture a lot this year, honestly, because I know you said
4 years. What are you talking about?
Because you just mentioned, like, can't believe we're talking about this. I think we're gonna talk about it a lot, especially now that the Biden administration is on there and the whole wokeness and racial equality, that stuff coming up. We're gonna hear about cancel culture. I'm surprised they haven't even canceled Bob the Builder because he's a man. And there's no woman in that show, right? I mean, next thing you know, it's like, what the heck?
Jaime,
we might Dora the Explorer. We might even cancel Dora the Explorer, Dora, because she's so dumb.
Yeah, she's stereotypical Latino. But somehow, out of all that, South Park will survive.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, I mean,
will survive.
I mean, you could give awards.
Rap will survive.
Right? You can give awards to, like, Cardi B or all these other artists. Talk about sex and stealing your money and doing all that bad stuff. It's okay. Give them awards. Let's sing their songs. Let's put on the radio. But Pepe Le Pew. Okay, Pepe Le Pew is after a cat who thinks he's a skunk. Okay, get it. But you have these artists who are literally describing and talking about
crime,
what they're gonna do with you sexually in rape or rape culture.
Yeah,
and we're playing it on the goddamn radio. And they're getting awards and nominations.
I know. I don't get it, but it is what it is. We're going to spend the next 4 years talking about it. So we'll see what we have by you next week. See if it gets canceled here to next week. My money.
Hey, you want to make a prediction? What could be canceled next week?
That's a prediction of what gets canceled next week.
What can get canceled? Yeah, let's make a prediction. I think that would be fun. We never done this.
Cartoon or what? Cartoon or just
movie, TV show, whatever. What do you think? If you don't have any idea, that's fine.
I don't have any idea, dude. I mean, it's.
The only thing I have right now that maybe can be canceled eventually Well, we have Speedy Gonzalez, right? So
I have no idea.
Actually, I don't have an idea either. Right
I
now.
know. It's
don't.
we'll see. We'll see what gets canceled, and we'll
But the
talk
thing,
about it then.
is that we'll predict next time.
Now let's stick with woke culture here for our last subject. As you know, Coca-Cola a couple of weeks ago went through racist training, right? How to be less racist. Well, I was going through articles around the internet, and I came across this from the Federalist, right? Where teachers in what do they say the name of this town? Naperville, Illinois, right? So this school district subject its teachers to anti-racist training as well. Now, in this training, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about covert white supremacy, and which is socially accepted, by the way, and actual white supremacy that is not socially accepted. Okay, so just to give you examples of what those things are, you're a overt white supremacist if you conduct lynching, hate crimes, wear swastikas, the KKK, use the N words, and do racial jokes. Covert, that's overt white supremacy, socially unacceptable. Okay, covert white supremacy, socially acceptable. Police murdering people of color, that's acceptable, socially acceptable. Racial profiling, paternalism, police brutality, mass incarceration, celebrating Columbus Day, not challenging racial jokes. There's on and on and on and on and on. My question is this: what does that have to do with improving the educator's ability to teach kids something, how to read, how to write? It's funny because LAUSD is doing the same thing, right? LAUSD has been promoting Black Lives Matter ideology, and they're trying to get this so-called woke education going on. And what was great about this Federalist article pointed out that some of the teachers that were involved in this, unfortunately, had to speak under anonymity. What's the word? Anonymously. Anonymity, right? Because they didn't want to risk their jobs. So this is the type of things they're doing now. People say, well, I feel uncomfortable with this, so I'm just coming to you anonymously so I can talk to you what's going on. And they showed the PowerPoint pictures, they show what was going on. And then you have the one of the administrators respond back, and it's talking about like, why are these people upset? You know, it's bringing awareness to what we're doing, who we are. I mean, but it's a program designed by people who say the 1619 era is where America began. They tell you that everything in America is a consequence of racial injustice, racism, and all that, and slavery. Here's my thing. I'll put the article link in the description section in our YouTube channel, so you guys can go read it. But the part that was interesting to me from this administrator, it says like, by us going through this type of training, we can have those discussions and we can have them and learn who we are. My thing is, you're there to teach. What discussions are you having? What are you talking about? And first of all, you're not discussing anything. You're accepting it. You're accepting these people telling you that you should be ashamed of yourself for being white. Mm-hmm. And that you're the cause of the problem. You're the cause of the problems in America. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to say. And people are just like, yeah, I guess I'm white, so I have to apologize.
Not only that, is that people are allowing this to happen.
Yes.
We're allowing it to happen. A majority of us don't give a damn. You know? But we're allowing these small group of people, right? These small interest groups to go ahead and do all this stuff and pressure people to do this stuff.
And I get it. This was done in Naperville, Illinois, where the majority of the teachers are white, right? That's supposed to bring equity, because the whole thing is about equity in our school system, so kids can graduate and go to college and all that. Okay, fine. Let's take this to the West Coast. Okay, let's take this to the West Coast. LAUSD is composed of the following: 44% of their teachers are Latino or Hispanic, 39% are white, 9% are Asian, and 8% are black. If our school system, if we take that argument and put it in our school system, how is covert white supremacy the reason to why our schools are failing and our students are not graduating at high grades at LAUSD? Talk to me.
Because of covert white supremacists.
Covert white supremacists. 44% of the teachers are Latino.
Yeah, and even in the article, it talks about like the whole seminar actually said that even if you're a person of color, you can still be a white supremacist.
Yeah, those are us, Jaime, who don't agree with the narrative. That's why we're covertly white supremacists. So now, if you go against the narrative, you're covertly a white supremacist. Congratulations.
And so much for free speech.
So much for free. You know. But what is scary
opinions
for me is that like you're allowing this to happen. You're allowing these people to accept that, and in turn, they're going to teach it to the kids. And it's something you pointed out a couple of weeks ago, Jaime, the psychological effects of all this. That is what's worrying, and it's being socially accepted. That's not good. It's not good. And again, it's funny because I'm still going to see how you're going to implement that. Like I said, in like school, like a district like Los Angeles Unified School District, we're starting to see it now with the whole Black Lives Matter agenda. But really, you're going to teach Latino teachers that are covertly white supremacists because they don't adhere to the narrative?
Pretty much.
It's ridiculous, man. It really is.
Beyond ridiculous, beyond. And the thing is that they're trying to force this idea that you have to be an apologetic, always with your head down, always scared to speak, timid race. They're trying to bully you into you have to be apologizing for everything. Oh, here's your Starbucks. I apologize for slavery. Hello, any kid born after 1865 are not responsible for slavery.
Yeah.
Right. We're not responsible for other people's racism. We should never hold anyone who is not racist responsible for other people's racism. That is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard. But the liberals, under the guise of we're trying equality and inclusion, are making these stupid rules, and we're eating it as if we're being.
I just want to know, if you eliminate white supremacy, our reading score is going to go up, our math score is going to go up, because I don't see that happening. We just saw New York. New York is it's a diverse population, and those kids can't even read at state level. That's LAUSD. You're graduating kids with C's, minuses, and D's, right, to go to college, but then they fail out college. But hey, whatever.
Exactly. But the problem to our educational system is not a bad policy. It's just covert white supremacist. Even if that teacher is Black, Latino, or Asian, or minority themselves, they are covert. And that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Anyways, we'll end it here. Once again, thank you for tuning in this week to our episode of M Talk. We always invite you to leave your comments, thoughts. Let us know what you think on these topics. If you guys have any information or anything you want out, we can mention it later on in one of our episodes. Once again, I'm Eddie Marmolejo.
I'm Jaime Moreno.
This is M Talk. And remember, we're tired of it too. Right. Oh, shoot.